Hey everybody, welcome back to Shoot and Show. Thank you for joining us for this week's episode. As a reminder, every Monday, new episodes drop. Sometimes we don't even know what the topics or guests are. And that's not quite true. We do know who's coming on. We don't know what they will say, but we try to keep it fresh. This week, I'm joined by Christie Horan, who is on our marketing events team and new deputy for the Footwear Innovation Foundation, which I'm very excited about. Christie, how are you doing?
Andy, I'm doing great. How are you doing? I'm excited to be here.
Me too. And to that point, when we're talking about the Footwear Innovation Foundation, I asked you to join me in kind of this journey that we've been building this foundation for several years now. Some people may not even know about it, but the genesis of it was constantly seeing our industry struggle through challenges and not being able to have some agency or think forward about where challenges may come and how we kind of build towards that as an industry to kind of, make sure that a problem doesn't become a crisis. And with a lot of people doing more than ever at their work, it's really important. And this kind of foundation does both research, it does some development. But the newest thing we have is LaunchPad. It just launched for 2026. We went through it last year. It was our first year that we did it. Super successful, learned a lot, adjusting a lot for 26. But for you, you're like a new set of eyes that are coming into this, and maybe like share your perspective as to LaunchPad. We can talk a little bit about what that is, but I think it's the way that the footwear industry works together on innovation.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm so happy to be on board this year. And I was excited when you asked me to come on board and help with the marketing and the event and, give my take. I love being a part of LaunchPad because it is part of my background to be a little bit competitive and have new ideas. For those of you who don't know, I come from a dance team background, so I deal a lot with auditions and coaching. So developing new talent is one of my many passions. So to be involved in the footwear industry and innovation in a different way, to see new ideas, meet people who are passionate about what they do, and developing something new and getting involved in the footwear industry. I'm excited to see who applies this year, especially because there were so many applicants last year and the Elite Eight just had fantastic innovations and ideas from the competition last year.
Absolutely. So let's unpackage some of that, because if you're sitting here saying, well, LaunchPad, what is that? So right. In essence, it started last year as a competition. It's more of a program. A traditional competition has judges, and there's someone places, and then that's the end of it. And honestly, like at the judging event we did last year, that's kind of where some of the work began with a few of these entrepreneurs that we're continuing to work with. The whole idea is to fill the void where we're trying to find new talent outside the industry, and we're trying to nurture ideas that just aren't connecting in some way. Like I said before, like everybody's busier than ever. And it's equally hard for innovators and what I like to call tinkers to knock on doors and get access. And this is a program that allows people to apply, no cost. We filter it, we look at what their ideas are, and we try to take the best talent and help our partners with that, as well as kind of develop out the best ideas that help the biggest swath of industry possible. It's a meticulous program. So right now, applications are open. You can go to footwearinnovation.com and actually look at that. If you're in the industry and you do want to apply, it's open to anyone. That's the other thing too, Christie, is to your point, last year we had over 200 applications. 50 of them were really good and 8 were exceptional. And so we took 8 different people and put them through what we term as a boot camp, or this year it's an elevation lab, where we partner them with experts and they work specifically on their concept and idea to refine it and improve it and then present it to footwear companies. And if it hits and people feel like, oh, this is an amazing thing that would help our industry, we try to find ways to prototype it or build it. And that's in essence what LaunchPad is. And I don't know do you think I described it pretty accurately?
I think you described it spot on. I mean, one of my favorite parts is the fact that you're in this program in the Elevation Lab, and you're learning from the best of the best in the footwear industry. And not only just the footwear industry, but different innovators across different kinds of industries as well. But Andy, something that when we've been talking about this, and I've been asking you a lot of questions about it, because I am trying to wrap my head around what Footwear LaunchPad is and who can apply. So I thought at first that it was just designers. It's not just designers. So who all should apply for the LaunchPad?
Yeah, it's a good point, because I think a lot of people think it's like a design competition, which is not. It really is about innovation. It's like what technology, what application can change footwear, not just in product, but like accounting and supply chain and whatever facet. So we're looking a lot externally outside the industry. We've already communicated with 200 to 300 global schools on engineering. So it's not just design schools or fashion schools. These are like engineering, business schools. So like I think of entrepreneurs, designers, yes, but inventors, artists, researchers, scientists, engineers, people with new business ideas, how they want to recreate a retail experience. We had one of those last year. It was fascinating for kids' shoes. His thesis was, it's boring to take my kids shoe shopping. Here's what I would do differently. And he wrote it, he sketched it out, and it wasn't that great of a sketch, but the idea was really fascinating. And this program allows kind of a level set where anybody can submit their idea. It doesn't have to be like fully function. And if we think there's merit to it, we can help them build it out. And I think that's where the kind of the theme Launchpad is. It's like you can sketch it out on a pad, and then we'll try to help you launch it out into the industry. So that's what I think of is like what does our industry need? We need more scientists. We need more, engineers and innovators and entrepreneurial spirit to kind of challenge the way we've been doing things. And we got that in spades last year, and already this year, even though we just recently launched, we've already had several people submit some pretty cool concepts that are coming in. And I, part of this too is just thanking our partners for committing to it. It costs some money to run this program, obviously, but we have really great partners. If you want to list them off, I think they'd be very happy to have themselves listed. But these are the companies like building the future of footwear, and we're happy to have more companies join and jump in. And the benefits are talent. You get a new pool of talent. You get a whole set of ideas that are different than what you've ever seen. And our work with Liminal Group allows us to help develop a couple of these ideas to reality that could boost bottom lines in ways that you don't really anticipate.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we are so excited and happy to have like Crocs on, Insight, Jade Footwear, Jones Inviting, Rack Room Shoes, RG Berry Brands, Shoe Show, Steve Madden, Reebok, obviously FDRA, we said Liminal Group, Sneaker Impact, Souls for Souls, PLC. So we're excited to have more as well.
Yeah. And if people are interested out there and learning more about this, you can contact us and we'll tell you about it. But one really exciting thing is, and as this episode drops, and I know, our producers always don't use the dates in this, it should be but at the same time this week drops, we have our executive summit. And one of those participants from last year who did not place in the top 3, and that's why I say the judging's important, because it is, it forces people to refine ideas and build ideas and gives them a timeline to execute it. But it doesn't really matter what the placements are. This gentleman is coming to speak about AI returns and how we can change our return process to reduce supply chain costs and improve customer relations. And that is, in essence, what this thing is. It's not a design contest. It's not necessarily a product contest, although we're looking for new materials or new, technologies for product. But this really is like, how do we make our industry function in the 21st century? And the companies that Christie just listed off have a front row seat, and we're working with them. We're happy to work with anybody around that, but innovation cannot just be in our industry inline, meaning it can't be just constantly looking at one little tweak here and one little tweak there. That's why we keep having these problems pop up that we can't seem to solve. And I think we can do things differently. We can create new revenue streams. We can optimize, but it's going to take more people outside the industry coming in. We can't solve it alone. And I think this is kind of the pathway in some ways.
Definitely. Something that stuck with me that you had said before was anyone with an idea on a piece of paper or on a napkin can apply and should apply. And the application process, you submit it online and you have plenty of time because the application's open from April 16th to May 31st. So I would say as a coach, I like to see people who are taking initiative, right? And to turn in early, like put yourself in the game. But for those who are nervous to apply, and maybe they think like, okay, I have this budding idea, but it's not fully developed. Like, do you have any advice for those people, or any stories that you saw last year, somebody really grow and develop throughout the program and throughout the lab?
Yeah, I think we're looking, I mean, the idea, we had some people who submitted like full business plans or had like their own LLCs, and there was some business and they just weren't connecting in the right way. And we're trying to use LaunchPad to help them solve some technical or business application and like actually get exposure to the industry. So there's a ton of different benefits that people can have as they submit. So some people may just want jobs, which is perfectly fine. And we're looking for talent, and we'll try to see where we can place you or introduce you to people. So there's one way to do that. Some people do want to build businesses out of this concept or idea, which means they have some kind of formed, really thoughtful way of thinking about it. We had a couple of people who just came to it and they were like, I really don't like this about my shoes, and this is what I would do about it. And it was a formed thought, and it was really thoughtful. And there was a couple of those that we had, and we're like, wow, that's a really interesting way of thinking about it. It does tackle a problem that no one's really tackled. Do we think this person is someone who would jump into this and do this? Could we help them in some way? And so that's where we start from, is this level playing field. It doesn't matter whether you're, working 40 years in footwear, which we had some of that, or if you're a college student with a good idea. Doesn't matter. We built this system and platform, again, working with our partners at Liminal Group, to kind of right size and judge, the talent and the idea on its own merits, not based on maturity or whatever it is. And so we had one person last year who, I think she placed third overall, literally had an idea on a napkin and wrote it down. And like, obviously it was on a PDF. It wasn't a napkin, but it was a PDF. And her thesis was like, the problem with footwear is like, when you're out in the cold, your insoles don't warm up, and you could have warmed insoles. Well, some people have tried that, but they use battery powers or use lithium. There's some challenge for the energy source to make it warm. And she said, I'm a chemist. I could actually move, using new science or chemistry, I could actually create the system where when your foot moves, it moves these ions and it naturally creates heat. And we were like, what? Like, is that
so impressive?
Right. But we worked with her for 8 weeks or so to refine that idea to an actual concept. My hope is that we can start to move that concept to a prototype and actually test it and see it. That's exactly what this is. And then, she's a PhD student in Texas and still is doing her PhD, but put her through this program. Her benefits may be different than somebody else because of where she is, but she got this intensive business training, and, worth probably hundreds of thousands of dollars with these technical experts that work with Fortune 100 companies on technology and business and finance through our program. And so it built her up as a person. She wasn't really a public speaker, and she did a great job speaking at our event, having gone through and held this edition. So I think it doesn't matter where you live. The first application came from someone from South Africa, right?
I love that. All around the world.
This year's first application this year came from South Africa. And this person was frustrated with throwing his running shoes away. And he thought, I could do something a bit different that would have a modular insole. And he has a patent and he has a way of doing it, and he's passionate. He may well be like the next big thing in footwear. And the question is, people outside the industry, do you have what it takes? Are you willing to like submit yourself and submit your idea to like, see it? Because the worst thing you can hear is no, like, we think it's a good idea, but we can't put you in our program or whatever. I would even say, Christy, the top 50 that we looked at, those 8 we put through, and this year the 8 will go in front of 100 different companies in Portland, Oregon, presenting their ideas. So it's like, you want to talk about access, this is it. But the 42 that didn't make the 8, we still worked with some of those people. We're like, we don't think that you are ready yet for what this program is, but we're going to work to help you build this out to see if there's something there. So there's some resources we'll give you for free and support you and provide some knowledge. So there's a lot of a lot of different benefits for people looking at this. And I just say, take your shot. There's no cost,
Definitely.
but it's the whole narrative is like you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right?
Yes,
So
exactly.
take the shot. And then for the industry, it's like, I think there's still this narrative of what is this,
Right.
And we talk about like contributing and getting involved. And there's always someone who's like, well, the tariff costs, now the oil costs. And it's like, there's always going to be some issue that pops up. The whole focus of this is innovating around those challenges to change the industry. And so, we need more companies involved in this kind of way of scraping the world for talent for footwear, putting footwear on the map in a way that we're not doing now. You can't just show up to a job fair and find talent, right?
Right.
We got to go out there and net it and bring it in like fishermen and really nurture the best ideas. And so that's kind of how this came about. And I guess, hopefully people hear the passion both of us have about this, because it's a personal connection with some of these people, right?
It is.
They feel like they're not heard. They feel like they have an idea. They don't have access.
I think giving people access is like half of it is what it is. Because the barrier to entry, they might be, nervous about that or not know, but that's what the Footwear LaunchPad is giving them, what the Footwear Innovation Foundation does for both sides.
Yeah, exactly. And so they apply. We have a filtering process where we look at all the applications. We judge it on different merits about how broad of application is, how big of an idea it is, whether it would actually function and work. Footwear is specific. There's still some rules to making shoes and how it works. There's still some, although that's changing. So we have a process, and then we make a selection, and 8 people will get a chance to build their dream, build a product, build a business, get a job, something. But again, even if you're in the top 50, there's going to be some benefits where you are seen by the creme de la creme in the footwear industry. If you're talented and you have a perspective and there's value and you want to work in footwear, we want you to work in footwear. We're begging you to. So I hope they apply, and I hope companies out there that are not involved see this as a talent pool, and they see this as a way to generate ideas. That's the thing, is we got to think about things not just quarter to quarter as an industry, but like long-term, strategic, thoughtful, critical thought about how we solve some of the current problems we have. And there's plenty of stuff to like work on in the footwear industry.
Challenge and change is a constant. So there's no better time now than to get your innovative ideas out there and to be involved.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, if you follow we have a LinkedIn page. The Footwear Innovation Foundation has a LinkedIn page.
Yeah.
Instagram has its own. LaunchPad has its own.
Footwear LaunchPad. Follow us on Instagram. Get involved. Connect.
Yeah. Follow some of the stories too. I think that's the other thing too, is we'll have testimonials we'll launch from the people last year who went through the program, who presented to industry leaders. But this year will be bigger and better. Last year we had 200 applications. This year we're hoping for 300. More talent, more fee. And that's the other thing too, is like, I think why we haven't done a great job as an industry is because we haven't put in a lot of work to go out broadly with this kind of stuff. And we've emailed and contacted and done calls and everything, again, to more than 300 universities globally. So the leading, kind of fashion and engineering schools in India, in the UK, Spain, Portugal, France, Germany. We've hit a lot of those department heads to make sure their students and alumni know about this program. And it's bearing fruit where these universities didn't even have an access point for some of our companies.
Right.
And so now we're this access point for talent starting to come through. And each year we do this, it's going to take building. But I think last year we were just like, if we can get one great idea into the industry and make change, that's a success.
Right.
That's it. It doesn't have to be 100 things. It can be one big thing. And so, so this year I'm really excited about it. I'm excited to have you on as a partner. I'm excited to see it grow. You have that list. We've added some new companies to the mix that are going to get involved. It doesn't take much time or energy from professionals. We know everybody's busy. So we do a lot of white glove services through this process, and we bring in our partners to see at strategic points along the way, like who the talent pool is, see some of the ideas, and then dedicate a couple of hours towards the late summer, early fall to provide some mentorship to some of these folks and get some engagement. And I would say the biggest thing for me is every company that was involved last year re-up for this year because they saw the value.
That's amazing. That's
So
huge.
in a tough environment, right? Tough budgeting,
Right.
people saw value. And I think some of it, Christy, is just because there's something different to talk about than tariffs or oil or there's like progressive ideas that people just haven't been thinking about. And that in and of itself, I think adds a lot of value to the industry.
It does something exciting and something different to move the industry forward.
Yeah, exactly. And we, for the Footwear Innovation Foundation, we have some other irons in the fire. I don't want to like release it too soon, but we're doing some research on AI for the industry. That may be a new program that we launch out, which I think is really important. I think a lot of people misunderstand AI, what it is and what it's capable of. And like, obviously we don't have all the answers, but we're looking for those answers in a way that I think some companies may not be, that if we can get the right answers on a few things, it can really help change things for the industry around the thinking about. So there's a lot of good stuff coming out of kind of what some people may consider FDRA's innovation arm. And maybe the best part, Chrissy, is it's tax free. So every contribution, because it's a 501c3 research arm, is a tax write off. So it's good for.
Go.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't beat that.
As we wrap up, I think we hit all the points on what this is. But I don't know if you had any kind of closing thoughts on Launchpad and what people might want to.
Yeah. I mean, I think, well, first of all, if you're listening to this and you know somebody who has a great innovative idea, please share where you can find us on socials. And then if you're listening and you would like to partner with us, reach out to Andy. Don't be afraid to connect and share a conversation. Like we said earlier, like this is an exciting time to get involved and to put yourself in the game, put yourself in the process, no matter where you are in your process. So I'm excited to be involved just for that and to keep the passion alive and going and to meet people who have new ideas and bright futures.
Yeah. And I'm excited to come into footwear. And the feedback we get is great. It was like, this is the first time I felt like heard and seen.
That's awesome.
On these ideas that I have. And just that alone was the value. And there were, kind of wrapping this up, there were a few people we got on the phone with and we were like, what are you working on and why? And it's like, we got one guy, his comment was, this is the most feedback anyone's ever given me from the industry on my idea.
Wow.
And it wasn't that we developed the product for him or his technology. He was just grateful that someone like gave him a little bit of wisdom and guidance to move his project along, like a passion project.
Yeah.
And I think it's meaningful. We don't want people alienated, and we don't want people who are trying to do something for footwear and simply fall out of love with it.
Mm-hmm.
The worst thing possible for our industry. And I think people will be shocked at the talent that are coming in, these PhD students. We had a 40-year Nike manufacturing vet submit last year. He was retired.
Well, yeah, that's a great point to make too. Like, you don't just have to be a student. You can be at any age, any level.
A lot of them weren't students. I mean, we're obviously looking for like young talent and all that, but like a lot of the thoughtful business concepts came from people who had touched footwear in some way. Maybe they were in a different industry or whatever, but like had a concept or an idea around that, or just love shoes. And they were like, I love footwear. I love everything about it. And I want to do something with it. And this is my day job, but this is like, I'm moonlighting as a footwear entrepreneur. Right. And I think those people are people who have like fascinating ideas that if we could figure out how to turn those into reality, could be game changers for the industry. And that's really exciting. The possibility is really exciting.
Super exciting.
All right. Well, that's just a snapshot of Launchpad. Again, you can go to footwearinnovation.com to learn more about the Footwear Innovation Foundation and some of the work that we do and have done and are looking to launch out. And if you have questions about LaunchPad or how to get involved in the values and benefits, of LaunchPad, drop us a line, let us know. But obviously our team is constantly trying to figure out ways to build more community, build better business, help with operations, be innovative for our industry. And if there's anything we can do for you and your team, drop us a line. But Christie, thanks for joining me today and joining the journey. This is going to be a lot of fun. I hope more people join us on this journey.
Me too.
Because it is a lot of fun. We're an open, fun group. And we're looking for the next big thing. And we hope it's somebody listening to this show. And with that, until next time, next Monday, new episode drops. Shoe In is out.
Shoe In has been brought to you by the FDRA, the Footwear Industries Association focused on retail, trade, politics, and fashion, helping create and enhance conversations on all things footwear. For information about FDRA, visit fdra.org.